100 days of Minecraft hardcore, but I coded it so that blocks don't drop any items. Now don't click off the video, there is of course a catch to this. So any block directly mined by the player won't drop. However, mining under blocks to force drops, using creepers to blow up items for you, and even using TNT to gather mountains of resources are all valid strategies, making for a far harder challenge. If you end up enjoying the video, please be sure to scroll down and subscribe. You can always change your mind later if I throw out a real dud of a video. Anyway, let's begin the challenge. I started from pretty humble beginnings, collecting a few sticks from dead bushes. I stumbled upon an ocean ruin on land and found my very first coal, which is actually a really valuable resource in this mode. Venturing underwater, I found even more coal and a buried treasure map, which led me to my first iron, which was good, but it also had some TNT, which was excellent. As night fell, I happened upon a savannah village where I decided to lie down and take my first sleep, skipping the otherwise incredibly difficult first night of hardcore. On day 2, I got my first dirt and gunpowder after unsuccessfully trying to get wood. I decided instead to go speedrunner mode and terrorize the villagers by blowing up their homes one by one with TNT, but netting myself mountains of wood in the process. I'm usually one to play Minecraft pretty nomadically, but against my usual instincts, I begun setting up a wood shack on the edge of the village next to the ocean. Planning ahead, I also set up a small bamboo farm using the shoots I'd looted earlier. Hungry for more supplies, I took to the ocean again and found a ruined portal where I found a Respiration 2 helmet, which was actually paramount to my later looting of many other underwater structures. After raiding more ocean ruins, I had my first close call with a trident drowned, but I luckily managed to escape and boat away very quickly. On day 3, I crafted an iron axe after deciding I probably deserved a weapon of some sort. My food stocks were running low, so I cooked some pork then set out to a desert temple I'd seen on a small venture the previous day. I staircased down since I couldn't afford to use a single block at this point. The chest had some pretty great loot, and I actually got my first diamonds, a whole 5 of them. I also figured I may as well collect some blocks while I was here, and so I lured a husky in to set off the TNT for some free blocks.
Good job!
On day 4, I was finally successful in getting a creeper to blow up a tree. I continued my bamboo farm and then decided to attempt to mine for diamonds with the intention to TNT any veins I found. After a stupidly close call with a gang of skeletons and a pretty long session of mining, I had to give up and surface with only 2 iron ore to show for myself. Day 5 brought even more expansion to the bamboo farm with the intention to use villager stick trading strats later. I ventured out into the desert again and happened across another village and a ruined portal trapped in the sand. I spent far too long mining in an attempt to locate the chest, but I had to give up after basically all my tools broke. Days 6 and 7 were farming days, where I focused on expanding my bamboo farm to even greater heights, and I also begun a sugarcane farm with the intention to enchant later. I also started a wheat farm, which I never used again. On day 8, I decided I was bored of the farming life and I ventured to the seas once again, finding even more sunken ship loot and buried treasure. I was in the middle of raiding another underwater ruined portal where I was ambushed by not 1 but 2 trident drowns, where I literally had to swim for my life, performing evasive maneuvers as I went. Once I was sure I'd led them far enough away, I made my way back to the loot with the blessing of a dolphin and got out of there as fast as humanly possible, vowing never to return. Before I went home, I decided to raid another couple of sunken ships and was lucky enough to get even more buried treasure, but I had no idea what the treasure map was truly leading me to. The sun rose as I surfaced from my undersea treasure adventures, bathing a nearby village in its warm glow, but when I entered the village on the 9th day, I was not expecting to see. Somehow, I'd stumbled across the woodland mansion without even looking for it. I was keen to get stacked with totems super early game, so I crafted a chestplate and set off to conquer the mansion.
Oh, no.
And as the sun set on the 9th day, I thought about how close I'd come to such a dumb death. On day 10, I decided to relax and make a diamond axe, and finally filled in the roof of the shack. On day 11, I got around to getting a Fletcher villager. After deforesting my entire bamboo patch and compressing the whole lot into sticks, I managed to trade for a pretty miserable number of emeralds. But I knew this was just the start, and that I couldn't rush greatness. Greatness finally rolled around on day 12, where I managed to net myself another couple of emeralds. I decided to express my frustration with the villagers by blowing a few more houses up, but unfortunately they didn't so much as budge on their stick trading prices. At this point, I was pretty keen to pack up and move out, so I started organising all my building materials neatly into one chest. On day 13, I happened across my first lava lake, so I decided to take the plunge and see what the nether had in store for me. After a few minutes of getting lost, I didn't find a fortress, so I headed out and promised to come back later with better gear. On day 14, I spent ages uncovering another ruined portal. The chest loot wasn't even that good. Don't ask me what else I did that day. On day 15, I grinded more bamboo for emeralds, then decided to go search for diamonds again. After another fruitless search, I started poke-holing TNT for more stone so I could start building my first real base. On the morning of day 16, I began packing up all my things with big hopes for a brighter future. I set off across the sea in search for a new home and ultimately decided to set up shop on the shore of the village near the mansion, as it seemed like the most viable option for expanding my base later. On day 17, I cleared the land for my new home and began setting up its wooden frame. After throwing on a door and some fine detailing, I remembered I'd forgot the coal I was going to use to make stone, so I made a detour to pick it up, which ended up taking me all the way into the night. But hey, at least I got to see the sunset over the ocean. The next couple days were pretty laid back building days, where I had to really balance the design of the house with the number of resources I had available. It was a pretty fun process overall. I took a small break and found another desert temple where I thought I was pretty smart with how I ended up using the TNT since I couldn't mine it. This was, of course, until...
Oh.
Finally, on day 20, I just needed the final pieces of wood to round out the build, so I blew up a few more villager houses before heading back to finish off the roof. And as the sun rose over the 21st day, I stepped back and admired my creation. For not being able to collect items from any block I directly mined, I feel like I've made pretty decent progress so far. Over the course of the next few days, I plan on focusing on further base building and organization, followed by getting stacked and setting up some sort of block farms, maybe an automatic cobblestone generator with TNT or something. Either way, it's been a lot of fun. If you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, then scroll down and hit subscribe. And if you want more content like this, then hit the like button. 500 likes and I'll release the second part. Okay, I'll release it regardless, but do like the video, please.